Hey, hey, what's up? Mm. Yeah. I think there should be some almost like a little button where we press record before we start actually recording, because I think the conversations before the session and sometimes even after the session, they're really, really useful and valuable. Mm. Interesting. Mm. Yeah. Well, I think just to share a little bit about my journey with AI. In the beginning, you know, I tried it, and it, did not much happened. I didn't get much value from it. It felt a bit, the first thing that came up for me is like, oh, you know what, I'm not techie, and this is probably not my expertise or my area, probably not where I should focus on. And I thought maybe I need to hire someone that's really good at AI, right? But then the more I start just experimenting with it, the more I start playing with it, and actually also really important, like any other area we want to develop, right? I start attending trainings, I start attending workshops on how to use AI. I start seeing the possibility, right? So I use right now I use AI in a few different ways. One is I use AI as a almost like as a CEO that has grown billion-dollar companies. And so as a coach for me as the CEO of my company, right? So one is as a CEO coach. Second, I use AI as a marketing assistant. And just a little note, and we can come back to that. But I've paid people before 1,500 a month, and AI is doing a better job. And again, this is not criticism to that person, but I think AI is developing so fast, and it has access to so much knowledge that it's yeah, it's incredible the quality of work it can produce. The other thing is in terms of sales processes. So we were using it really in every aspect of the business, right? So from the CEO coach to marketing to sales. But also here's a fun little thing, right? I have clients paying me a lot of money for business coaching, and you know what I was experimenting with at one point is getting the questions that clients were giving me, right? And these are the clients paying 5K, 10K, up to 30K for business coaching. And I was taking those questions and I was putting it in AI. And before I was pressing the enter button, right, the submit button, I was thinking about my answer to those questions, right? And then I thought, let me compare my answer to the answer that AI was giving me. And I can tell you, AI's answer was often better and more articulated in a better way, and broken down in a better way. And initially, I was thinking like, well, can I share this with clients because this is really good, right? So at the beginning, my thought was like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't share it because this could replace me. But then I thought, you know what, let me share it because it can add more value. So I now share these responses with clients, and I often add my own touch to it. But it's yeah, yeah. No, I think transparency is one of my core values. Right? So I do share, and I in a playful way say, this is what my AI assistant came up with, right? Because ultimately, I don't think people don't hire me for to to get access to knowledge. That's maybe like a small part of it, right? But it's the coaching, is the help in terms of implementation, in terms of accountability. There's a lot more that comes with that, right? But this is a way to raise the game, right? So the reason I share that is because, again, sometimes we don't see this because we don't have something to compare it with. On the marketing side, I've been able to compare it to someone I paid 1,500 for. On the business coaching side, being coached as a leader, as a CEO of the business, I've paid 30K for masterminds, and I'm getting a lot more value, right? Right, from AI, right? So yeah, and the reason I shared my part is because there are people maybe at this moment that can't afford business coach and they can't pay 5K, 10K, right? Or maybe they have a business coach but they want to accelerate things. Use AI as your own coach. And of course, I think one of the things that's really useful in all of this is being able to play with it. You have to interact with it. It's not, I don't take it and say, okay, this is great, right? Usually it needs a few, um, we need to go back and forth with it to really take it from a six to an eight to a nine in terms of what we're getting from it. Mm, yeah, yeah. And I think even for people that don't have business coaching experience but are building their own business, for example, they're learning sales, they're learning marketing. I think that partnership is really valuable. And here's a thought experiment that I would invite everyone to do. And I did this with clients, right? I gave them an exercise and said, like, imagine you're paying someone 2,000 a month, but this person is like super talented, super knowledgeable, but this person is very passive. Like a lot of times when we're looking to hire someone, we want someone that's proactive, right? And imagine you have someone in your team that is really skilled, really talented, but they're just very passive. They only will work when you give them instructions. They will only do things when you give them instructions. And there are actually people like that, right? So I did this exercise for 20 minutes and I said, how can you get the most out of this person? Like this person can bring 20K value every month. You're paying them 2K. And some people were like, okay, I don't want to work with this person because I don't want to just like having to instruct this person. I want someone that comes up with ideas. But well, this person just needs instructions, and they can give you incredible ideas. If you give them problems, they will solve it, right? And after 20 minutes, I told them, well, this is we all got access to this person, right? And I called it a person just to get them to really think about this. And I said, well, for $20, you got access to AI that can do all of this, right? And this really created a shift for them, and now they're using it and they're imagining that this is a person they're paying 2K for, $2,000, £2,000, right? Mm, yeah, yeah. Yeah, when you give someone instructions, and like I said, I've hired people, pay them 1,500 a month for marketing, and they would need feedback to get to improve things. And people, a lot of times, you hear this in the business world, like hire A players, right? I really believe, especially as coaches, like we can hire people that are like kind of C players or B players, and we can develop them and help them become A players, right? Because people have so much, people have knowledge and talent, but a lot of times it needs support, it needs coaching. it, you know they need a right environment to think differently, right? To come up, they need permission sometimes to make mistakes and come up with ideas. And I see this with AI, right? I can say to AI like, hey, this is good, but can you use the information from this book and try this again, right? And it will come up with a different it will come up with a different angle. Or I might say like, hey, can you use some things that Tony Robbins used and do this exercise different? So I use it right now, like just a few examples to really show people what's possible. I used to take an hour to prepare sessions for clients, and that's around 5 to 10 minutes. And I do it now with my headphones in while I'm making a sandwich, right? And so I'm giving instructions, and it's taking me 5 10 minutes. And again, the first draft, version 1.0, is usually like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. But then I give it feedback and I say, hey, this training is good, but can you change ABC? Or can we do this a little bit different? And I've created a template. So now, based on my template, it creates training based on that template. Second draft is usually like 7 8 out of 10, and then the third one is like 9 out of 10, right? That's like, so I've gone from almost an hour to 10 minutes. I'm saving a lot of time there. But then I would give it to my assistant, and she would spend another 30 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, creating slides. Within 2 minutes, AI gets the slides done, right? Now, sometimes I just use the slides AI gives me just to show clients like, hey, look, this is okay. Of course, if it's like for a really big presentation, I will give it to the assistant and maybe brand it up and increase the quality. But it's saving us so much time there, right? And we're creating marketing campaigns, right? And again, the team is using it to improve it. We're working together. If we're using it again, I'm not saying treat it like, see it as an actual human being, but if you treat it almost like a person on your team, it's incredibly valuable. It's almost like, you have this person that can turn into a sales expert. You have this person that can give you feedback on anything sales related, anything marketing related, right? Anything, it can help you develop you as a coach, right? And I think that's the part, right? Like, I think that it's that playfulness, that willingness to learn, because you have to be constantly learn. You're constantly learning, and the amazing thing is AI can even teach you. You can ask it like how you get better in terms of using it. um, yeah, like it's just incredible in terms of how much time it can save you. I asked Me and my wife were making a list, and I just said to my wife, you know what, we can save so much time. So I asked AI, create a list of what we need. We're moving into this new house in this area. Create a list and with and give me two three shops with the best reviews for this and this, and basically it saves us so much time and headache. So it's like we're looking to buy a fridge, a washing machine, wardrobes. He gave us examples. He's like, if you want to spend this much money, go to IKEA. If you want to spend this much money, go to this shop. He had the reviews. He has everything. That was done in like 5 to 7 minutes. Because it had to do research, it took a bit of more time. But it can help you in any area of life. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I think there's lots of I think there's lots of ways to work with it. And I think that's the important part is for you to find your way to work with it. But having said that, right, I think we can look at other industries. So if you look at Brad Pitt or George Clooney, they don't create their own script, right? Somebody else writes the script, and then they show up. Of course, they're great actors, but they show up and then use the script. And AI can do the same. So if I say to AI, I want to prepare a podcast, or I'm doing a podcast on X topic, or I'm doing a video sales letter, right? So, Mark, a few months ago, I paid someone $1,000 to write a script for a 10 minutes video, and this is someone that's had some good results. He's written a script for someone else that I think made 1.5 million or something, or 2 million. And there are people that will charge 5, 10,000 for a 10-minute script. But guess what? AI will probably do as good as the work, right? So that's also another way to look at it. Like, we can use AI for incredible things. We can use AI to prepare a YouTube video. We can use AI, and of course, then we want to add our own twist to it, right? The other thing, I think, if you look at presidents, right? I've seen this in movies. I don't know to what extent this is true, but yeah, they have people that write the speeches for them. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm. No, I think it's a really, I think it's important. But yeah, I think it's a really good discussion to have, right? And here's the thing, like with my thing is right, and I made a note around that is that any problem we have or any challenge we have, we I like to look at it and see like what question can I ask? How can I turn this problem or challenge into a question, right? And this was actually a concern and that came up with a lot of clients. That said, okay, well, one of the things that we can do, right, is so the first time I hired a marketing assistant, we spent an hour and a half. And I've hired actually some like people, different people for this role a few times, and every time they spent an hour and a half with me, and they asked me all these different questions to get to know me, right? And I saw this actually in a movie as well when this president hired a speechwriter, either a president or a governor. They spent a lot of time together, and the person was like, "Okay, I need to get to know you. I want to really understand your philosophy, your personality." So I asked AI basically. I said, "I don't want to create content that's like everyone else, right? What questions do I need to answer for you to get to know me?" And AI gave me like 10, 15 questions, right? I just took I put my headphones in, and I thought, let me answer the questions one by one, right? And so the more information we give it, so because if you hire someone and you pay someone £1,000 or £2,000, they will do the same. If someone is really good, they will basically spend time with you. They read your articles, they watch your videos, but they also spend time with you to get to know you, right? Right. Mm. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And if you ask AI like what other questions, what else do you need to know about me for the content for the work to become more unique, right? For it to be really me. If you say like just act like a marketing expert, ask me the questions that you need to know to really bring my voice, my personality, my values into the work. He will ask you those questions, and you can answer those questions. Look, I think it's like anything else, right? If 10 people would hire a content a copywriter or someone else that basically creates articles, content, it's the same thing. Some people will create basic content, and it just looks like it's completely someone else, and then there are people that are really good at what they do, and they spend a lot more time really getting in your head. And it's almost like it's scary because I've had someone do that for years, right? And it just looks like it's me, but it's not me, right? Yeah. But again, I was transparent about that with in my videos, because in my videos I would share that I had someone else do the writing. But I think and at the same time I was spending a lot of time with that person. Every week they would ask me questions like, tell me about this, tell me about that, and you know, yeah, yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? And just to show people, right? Like one of my clients she's a writer, and she get a contract for $3,000 a month with an influencer that has she sells coaching courses or and self personal development programs, and this person has I think around 6 to 8 million followers on Instagram, and she's paying her 3,000 a month just to write emails. And her and I asked her like, what does this person want from you? He said she just wants me to. She has a huge email list, and she wants me to write emails to nurture those relationships, so not to sell, just to continuously add value to this group of people that have subscribed to their email list. And that just shows, right? So what does she do? Her job is, right. Her job is to continuously do research on who this person is, what their programs are about, what she's standing for, and basically bring that out into the emails. This is what AI can do for you, right? AI can do that exactly for you. So people, the bigger brands hire people, and they pay them 1K, 2K, 3K a month. So now we have, and this is I think what I want to encourage coaches is, use it to develop your skills further, right? And it's not gonna be like, what you don't want to do is just say to AI, well, here's my ideal, here's who I want to have as a coaching client. Go write 10 posts and then copy paste. That's not gonna. That's it will be okay, but that's usually again that first version 1.0 is not gonna be as good. You want to give it some feedback. You want to read it, give it some feedback. Make it more personalized. Bring your own voice into it. Then maybe you have version 2.0, then 3.0, right? But if you play with that, it can become really good, and it's really useful because it allows us to express ourselves, right? And you don't even need to be like I don't really, for me personally, like writing doesn't really energize me. I do it from time to time. Like today, I was sitting at a swimming pool, and I wrote a content piece of content, and I posted it. But I very rarely do that, right? What's a lot easier for me is just to talk, right? So you can do it in so many different ways. You can write to AI, and AI can take all your ideas, put it together in a nice article. You can talk to it. Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, mm, really cool. Yeah, yeah, I would love to see that as well. And actually, that's another cool thing that you can do. You can create almost like your version of AI. I've seen a lady from the US, again, like charges, I think, 10, 20, 30,000 for relationship coaching, and she created her version of AI. I think she spent 10,000 creating that. She hired someone to do it. But people do that, and there's value in that. That that's something we mentioned earlier, but just something I want to mention again. Like, again, is do I start seeing more and more value in AI when I start comparing it to people that I was investing in. And I will always invest in people because I think it's part of, you know, what do you call it? For me, is that mindset around circulating wealth, right? For a long time, I just had this mindset of like, I want to generate a lot of wealth, I want to make a lot of money. But for me, like the mindset has shifted towards circulating wealth. Like I want to pay people because I think that's the way for money to flow through me to others, right? So I love to hire coaches, life coaches, business coaches, supervisors, people all around me. But and having someone in my corner, and then also using AI, I can see the value of AI increase. It just keeps increasing, right? So if you have a life coach, something, just play with it. If you have a supervisor, play with it. Like something that you would bring maybe to your supervisor, to your life coach, to your business coach, to your marketing assistant, to anyone that you normally would bring things to, bring it to AI and compare it. It's really incredible. Like I've in this journey now, I think I've invested over 350,000 in courses, mentors, programs, and I can tell you that it's blowing my mind away because I like to have feedback. I think that's one of the reasons I've been able to grow as a coach, been able to grow, as a business owner, because I've got so much feedback from people. It's like, hey, here's a sales conversation. This person told me this. What should I do? This is what helped me become really good at sales. Constantly having someone to bounce back with, right? And it's helped me grow as a coach. It's having someone that's really good, a really great coach, very experienced. It's like, hey, I'm stuck with this client. What should I do? And again, like having someone else that's really useful because then at least you can check, is this like, if I have a supervisor that's really good, experienced, then I can check, is this AI, is this okay, is this aligned, right? But the more we do that, I think that when we have people, whether it's ourselves but also external people, we get better and better at understanding like the value of AI. And I think that's really important. So I would encourage people to keep investing, right? But you use both at the same time, and that way I think the you really start seeing the practical value of it. Yeah, yeah. And just to add a little bit of value to you, I'm gonna take this and share it with my assistant and get AI to summarize it and put a practical action step at the bottom, and we will maybe put that in the description. And this is one thing you can do whenever you listen to a video like this. You can, you know, give it to AI, get it to summarize for you, get it to help you put these things into practice. And just another way to add a lot more value to you. And you can, Quite awesome.
All right, that was us talking about coaching. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I appreciate your commitment to being the best coach you can be. I always say, if any of this resonates, make it swing. We grow through conversations. So if you found value in this episode, please go on and share it or with another coaching colleague of yours or a friend. Anything that we can do to help people get inspired to reflect more on their coaching and be better coaches. I really believe in the generative impact that coaching has. So if you wanted to support the coaching and this mission, then what you can do is share this, right? Talk to somebody, send a link to someone, have that conversation with someone. What would really help us is to leave a positive review or a rating on one of the podcasting platforms. Um, Generally, the more people we reach, the more time and effort we can put into creating these episodes for you. And higher quality means also more conversations, maybe inviting high profile guests into the conversation. That'd be a dream of ours. So you can make this worth it. And I appreciate you being with us and I appreciate you considering to help. So thank you. See you soon. Send us a question.